Also, addiction. I think if any of you had a chance to witness it up close and personal, you'd agree there's nothing quite like the hopelessness or the darkness or the nothingness of someone suffering in the throes of addiction. C.S. Lewis wrote a famous book called The Screwtape Letters, where he depicts the correspondence between two demons. One's Uncle Screwtape, and he's writing letters to his nephew and protege Wormwood on the intricacies of luring men away from God and to Satan. At one point, Uncle Screwtape writes, "The only thing that matters is the extent to which you separate the man from the enemy, or God. It doesn't matter how small the sins are, provided that their cumulative effect lures the man away from the light and out into the nothing." This nothingness of addiction affects us all. Current studies show that 23.5 million Americans are in need of drug and alcohol treatment. That's 8% of the population. The more staggering fact might be that only 1 in 10 actually reach out for formal treatment. The emotional scars run deep through society. There's broken families, broken marriages, incarcerations, and then of course the kids are the ones who suffer the most, who have to live with an alcohol or drug addicted parent. The financial burden is staggering. The National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA, estimates that it's a $41 billion a year industry to treat drug and alcohol treatment. As a recovered addict with over 22 years sobriety, and somebody who owned a transitional house where we try to help people come out of treatment and transition back into society, I've had a chance to feel this hopelessness and nothingness personally, as well as see others who are trying to get back on their feet, and the joys of them having success, and the incredible sadness and hopelessness and depression that comes with relapse. So, being that God's led me down this road, this is what's brought me here to, at the age of 47, change careers and go back to school to learn how to be a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. So I want to take a few minutes to just explain a couple of the avenues of treatment currently, and then how I see God using me within that kind of treatment methods. The first path is the secular way. Funny though, the secular treatment, kind of the basis of it, is formed off of what's called the 12 steps, which are from the Oxford group. And that was actually in London, England, a group of men just trying to stay sober, and they were going through a progression that they would bring the alcoholic through, where they started with the understanding that they're powerless over their addictions, and that they believed God could cure them of that obsession, and then how they would in turn go and help others who were struggling with addiction as well. This combined with kind of psychotherapy, 28-day treatments. You might have seen the groups of people standing around in a circle talking about their problems, and "Hi, my name is Jim, I'm an alcoholic," and "Hi, Jim." That's kind of the basis of the group therapy, and also one-on-one therapy. And that has, in our politically correct society, they've tried to kind of extract God out of that 12-step equation, which is funny because that's basically the cornerstone of the entire equation. And in turn, the failure rates and success rates have gone way down, and the failure rates have gone way up. It's almost like finding an ice cube in a swimming pool, finding the actual statistics on failure rates, because it's such a lucrative business. But they range anywhere from 15 to 50% can stay sober up to 6 months after working a program. So considering what's the lives that are at stake and the money that's going into it, it's not working. The Christian approach is the other path, and that's a faith-based approach, which has had much more success. But in many senses, they've tried to extract any of the psychological or scientific methodology out of it and make it strictly just kind of a Bible study and prayer program, which is a huge component, but it's not the whole answer. And something happened, I think, throughout history here a couple hundred years ago, where we thought that the psychology and science were opposed to God, and in order to follow God, you had to be opposed to psychology and science. And I think that's a lie. God made the inner workings of our mind. He made the laws of nature that we keep discovering that show that how perfectly He put everything together. And that's where I see myself fitting into this equation, where these two paths converge, of finding this renewing of your mind that God speaks of in His Word, as well as the understanding of those concepts and methodologies that have shown us how the mind works. And we are growing in this huge time as brain scans become more prevalent and more accessible to the everyday person, that we can see really how the exact areas of your brain that are function, their function directs addiction and compulsion, and how that can be treated. And then mixing that in with the truth of Jesus Christ and the gospel, and the truth about who we are in Christ, and kind of re-scripting the lies that have been told us by those demons like Uncle Screwtape. But so I look forward to myself being in that equation, to borrow a line from Robert Frost, just being in the woods when those two paths converge, and hopefully with God's help, taking the road less traveled and making a difference. Thanks for sharing.